Hey everyone, welcome back to The Thoughtful Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Jen Amos, and I am stoked because every time I do another episode, it means I get to interview another incredible entrepreneur or small business owner someplace in the world. I'm really excited to be interviewing another entrepreneur or small business owner on a different place in the world other than America. And so let me go ahead and introduce him to you. We have JC Hite, who is the CEO and founder of Hite Digital, a white label digital marketing agency. Now he's scaled his agency from 1 to 50 employees in just 2 years and counting. The company is currently valued at $10 million. His greatest passion is people, from his wife and daughter to his team, to the people around him, to his partners, and to the people he has yet to meet. For him, life and business are all about relationships. As CEO of Hite Digital, he believes his job is to focus on people and culture. JC, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Super excited.
Yeah. And where are you currently at in the world?
So Nicaragua, actually. And it is funny because people say like, I have a strong accent when I say it, I guess, Nicaragua. And so, we've been here 8 years, my wife and I.
Wow. That's awesome. And we were talking a little bit offline about what it's like to essentially be an expat. And it sounds to me, what you were saying is that even though someone is really, or would be deemed really successful locally, they're easier to get within reach as opposed to maybe America, where people kind of keep to themselves or like try to have like the mansions with the tall fences. but it sounds like over there, people are a little bit more accessible.
You know, it's true. Like in Latin America, I think maybe Latin America as a whole, right? But like it's such a family-oriented culture. Like we have a really nice neighborhood, but in that neighborhood, there's not so nice neighborhoods right beside it, right? Like it's very much a I don't know, it's an interesting community to say the least, right? And so it's one of the things that I think I love the most when we moved here. When my wife and I moved here. We had a 3,000 square foot house. I had a little private airplane. I had a custom Harley Davidson. And when we moved here, we sold everything. We literally sold our entire, we couldn't bring anything to Nicaragua, obviously. And we moved into a small house and we never felt like the need to compete, right? And I think that like ties into some of our success of like this mindset of going, where do we want to put our value, like our time, our money, our energy, right? Is it in all our like possessions, or is it in people, right? And I guess in that intro, somebody from my team must have wrote that. It sounds like, but we love people, right? It's all about people, right? And what we can do for them.
Yeah, it makes me think about, let's say, really successful people who make their way to the top. I think that for a lot of entrepreneurs, they have this proverbial carrot on a stick dangling in front of them. And it's like, once they finally get it, what does that look like? Like, who is around you at that point? And sometimes I think that for a lot of us, it's just about the climb, that when you finally get to the destination, you probably don't even think you're there. You stretch out the finish line even further. And before you know it, you've really left behind people who would be there for you in times that would get really hard. And so I really like that you really give off this sense of community and knowing that at the end of the day, it's really about people.
Yeah, 100%. It's, I've played that game. I've played the money game and all this stuff. And, my birthday was just a couple of weeks ago, and this company, they all came together and got me maybe this video and different stuff. That stuff right there, man, it's powerful. And that's really what's, I think, again, helped us launch forward, right? And so year one, we actually made the sacrifice. We weren't super profitable. I think we did like 250,000 in revenue, 20 employees in year one. And we literally we took our entire company, we took all their families, because family is really an important part of our culture. So we took all the kids, all the wives, all the husbands, and we flew everyone to the Caribbean, to actually Corn Island. And that was like a big stamp for us. It was a big, like, hey, we are going to be about our people. Like, that was the first time we put our money really where our mouth was and going, okay, we're going to do what it takes to like give back to them. Right. And at the end of the day, if you think about it, most business owners, right? We all have customers, but as the CEO or as the leader, like, we can't focus on them. Our people have to, right? And so you've heard this before, my job is to focus on my people so that they then can focus on everyone else. And it's so my wife and I, we look at it in the sense that, hey, these people, like my team is what's going to pay for my daughter's college, right? When my daughter gets married, if I'm able to pay for that wedding, which I hope I am, my parents, they weren't able to help my wife near as much. And I want to be able to help my wife. And that's only going to be accomplished by the people on my team. Like, that's a big deal. Like, that's a very emotional, like, attachment, right? And so how much can I possibly, do for them is really key.
Yeah, I think Zig Ziglar said this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he said, in order to get what you want, you have to help people get what they want. Right. And it very much sounds like that is your philosophy. It's like, you need to take care of your employees so that in return, they take care of you.
Yeah, my team members.
Thank you for correcting me. Your team members.
It just sounds so nasty. I don't know. It's just weird. I also, somebody gave me the other day, because I hate the word boss. Like, the boss is like, just makes me crazy. Gave me a coffee mug that said boss, and I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I feel like somehow it's this generation where a lot of us are redefining what it means to be in the workplace. Like, bosses aren't just a leadership role anymore. It's a servant leader role. And people, an employee, like, I like how you corrected me there and say, no, they're not employees, they're team members, because it tells me that you really value collaboration and no one is above another person. It's all really this collective effort to, provide the best services to your clientele.
Yeah. And that's stuff that we hire for that, right? Like that culture fit, that's not something, obviously it starts at the head, right? But once you're at a certain size, and we're just now like getting there, I feel like you have to hire for that. Like, you have to be very intentional, and that's difficult. We've made that mistake over the past couple of years where, oh man, there's this person, and this person has such great talent. She has like 7 years of experience. She's a little mean, but man, she's incredible, right? That we hire in, but because there's not that culture fit, because how we make decisions doesn't align with how they make decisions, it becomes very like controversy, right? And so it starts to create a little bit of friction within the culture, right? And so this is something that when we talk about having a culture of, hey, we do stuff like teammates, and we do stuff like travel here at Hite, every single child is on scholarship. So every single child at Hite is on, they go to private schools that are all done in English. And so like, these things happen because we hire people that believe in family first, that have these certain types of values, that believe in education, because if it wasn't, someone would easily complain like, JC, I didn't get the raise I wanted, but instead, and I don't have any kids, so why are we paying for why does this person make more money because they get the bonus, right? Like the kids bonus, right? And so it's an interesting, type of thing. So how are we hiring and bringing on people that align with the rest of the group, right? Doesn't mean what's right and what's wrong. It just means that the alignment, the momentum that you can create.
Yeah, absolutely. I am extremely impressed that you have scaled your agency from 1 to 50 team members in really just a short time. Tell me, what did life look like for you before that, before you started Hite Digital, and what led you to starting it?
So it's funny, we a lot of times when people think of like scalability, it's there's a lot of like downsides to scaling as well, right? So when my wife and I, we first started our agency, right? I left the big agency. We had a lot of people, and it was like, you know what? I just want to be. I was expecting, when I left, we were expecting our first child in like 2 months, and so now she's 2.5, right?
Wow.
And we had that discussion, like, right, do we want this like nomadic lifestyle? Like, I could bring on 20 clients, I can make easily $20,000 a month, and not have to deal with anyone, not have to do anything, or really. And we went through this process that actually, again, has come this like really foundational part of our company. I hired like a coach, I started working with a coach, that one of the first things we did was we said, we started talking about commitments. What are we committed to? What do we really want to do in life? And I mean like at a really like deep level, because when we find out what we're committed to, it can help drive us through good, bad, ugly, anything. Like, you have kids, Jen?
No, I have a dog. I'm a fur baby, a fur mama, but no kids yet.
So okay, we'll talk about the dog. It won't. Well, it'll be just as the same, right? So if I asked you, Jen, tomorrow, would you go work at McDonald's? What would you say?
I mean, no, that's like my initial answer.
Not even like, it's way below you. It's not paid enough. All these reasons why you would never go work at McDonald's ever. But if I said, hey, your little fur baby is hungry, not enough food, then would you go work at McDonald's? Like,
I mean, yeah, if it's my only option, yeah, of course I do. My baby's got to eat.
Baby's got to eat, right? Like, so, and that's a really extreme example, but when we have commitments like you are committed to your dog, or we are to my wife and I are to my child, or to education, or to poverty, or to whatever is like really a driver, when you find something that you can really get committed to, it helps like launch this thing, right? And we went through this whole thing. And what we really realized was kind of what we started off at the start of this conversation was, man, like I really like people. Like even I think sometimes as my team is like my child. Like sometimes it sucks having kids. Like you can't go out, you can't just travel like you used to. Like there's parts of having children. Like right now, mine's getting potty trained. Like that's and it's not like you would never change it, right? And so for me, my commitment became, and then I'll come back. My commitment came. I want to be a leader worthy of leading 1,000 people. I want to be a leader worthy of leading 1,000 people. We came to that number because we looked at Nicaragua, we looked at Central America, we looked at like there was a pandemic, you know, here's a pandemic, but back then there was a civil war going on in Nicaragua and there was a lot of instability. And so people were getting paid very little. The gap between rich and poor is extreme. Education right now, 2020 education level on average is the 4th grade. And like, there was this huge, like, it's crazy. So we believe that, hey, if we could employ 1,000 people and we could pay them fair and we could figure out a way to pay for education, which we did, that we could completely change potentially even a country, because the country's people, right? It's not huge, right? So, and then what does that look like? And then it's just like started this whole journey of like, okay, what are we committed to? And right now, Hite Digital is fully committed to creating 1,000 jobs, right? And every single team member that comes on, we find out, what are you committed to? What do you want to accomplish, right? And sometimes it's I want to travel the world, or I want my babies to go to college, or and when you find out what people are committed to, you can, oh man, I mean, and then you start, how does the job relate to that or empower that? Oh, it makes it fun. It makes it really enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like you are very mission oriented, and you like to work with people who have dreams. You know, and they're not just looking for a job. They're looking for maybe a vehicle to help them pursue whatever they want to do, whether it's to provide for their kids, whether it's to, you know, travel and all the sort. And so I appreciate you elaborating on that. You know, I think that for a lot of entrepreneurs, the goal is to have mobile income, right? It's to live a nomadic life. And even for myself, I would prefer that, you know, and though I love your take on, you know, kind of setting up shop somewhere, because especially if you have a family or you want a sense of family, you can't keep moving, you know, to establish that. And so, I mean, of course I could probably be debatable, but I just love the idea that like you had the choice. You could have lived a nomadic life, but you wanted to, you know, settle somewhere and not just help yourself, but really help a certain location to help other people really pursue their dreams and their goals. And so it just sounds very mission based to me. And I really appreciate the vision and the drive that you have for Hite Digital, especially with your team members.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's a constant learning journey for sure. You mentioned dreams. Have you read the book Dream Manager by chance?
I have not. I'm writing it down now.
Small read, and it's an amazing read actually. Like it kind of changed. Like I've read it. I'm reading it right now for the 2 times. You can read it in a weekend, but it's about this janitorial company that had hundreds and hundreds of employees and experienced 400% turnover. 400.
Wow. Whoa. Okay.
And low-income people cleaning toilets, right? So obviously very high turnover, right? 400%. And how they took that down to 20%. And I won't give away the book, but it's really based around how do we help people fulfill their dreams, right? And it's a great book, at least on how potentially how leaders could view their team members and things like that, you know, in a kind of a new light. It's really exciting.
Absolutely. Well, I really hope the best for you and your digital marketing agency. Obviously, you don't need my best wishes. It sounds like you're doing just fine, but I do want to just let you know how much I admire your own personal mission to empower people and give them a reason to work, with you. For our entrepreneurs and our small business owners that are listening to The Thoughtful Entrepreneur, is there anything else? I mean, I feel like you already dropped a ton of knowledge and a ton of wisdom, but is there anything else you want to share with our listeners before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think it would re-hit like the commitment thing. That's been the driver for us. Find a commitment that will overcome any type of pride or anything like this, right? Like some businesses, you got to go door knocking, or you got to do telemarketing, or you got to do things that like are no fun, but you got to have something that's going to drive you past those things that, so that one day you'll be able to look back or hire someone else to do them, right? And so find a commitment worth fighting for.
I really like that. And I've been thinking a lot lately, even for myself, when people ask me, like, are you passionate about what you do? I could say yes, but it's come to a place for me where it's like, I'm more committed to it. I feel more of a sense of responsibility than I do about like, I am passionate about it. Cause I think, for me, passion is more of a feeling that is fleeting. And it's really about like, just like what you said, like what's going to outlast the adversity? Like what kind of commitment are you going to make that outlast all of those obstacles and all the hard things that are going to come ahead, because they will come ahead. And so I appreciate you sharing that piece of advice to our listeners.
Love it. Love it.
Cool. Well, JC, it's been an absolute pleasure having you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yes. And to our listeners, you can get a hold of JC Hite at his website, theheites.com. That's THEHITES.com. Once again, founder and CEO of Hite Digital. JC, thank you again so much for joining us.